Today we are going to upgrade our Tinkercad printable boxes, so let's get cracking. So the first step is to visit tinkercad.com. It is a website absolutely free. You can simply choose sign in with Google. This is where your designs are. As you can see, I've got thousands of them. Today we are continuing what I called box 26. Simply click Tinker this and it opens so that you can see your completed project. Now for you to participate today, you need to have already completed this. It is super quick and it shows you how to make this box and then determine the perfect fit for your 3D printer. You can of course use the videos, cards, or this bit.ly up here in the corner. Right now I'm going to back out of this design. And of course, this is what a saved project looks like. I don't want to lose this saved project, so I'm going to click on the gear and I'm going to duplicate it. Now, this entire project came together because a user asked how to modify this. This is an imported STL and it's built for holding coins. There are, of course, ways to modify STLs. I just determined for what this user wanted that it was probably easier to just build a brand new one. So let me show you how we're going to take this one and make it into the next version of this. First, I'm going to hit settings. We're going to change this to 400 by 400 so we've got a little bit more room to play, and hit close. Now I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to grab this part and do Control D because once again I never want to wreck what I'm going to use. Now if we check this design, it is currently almost 60 by 117. I can now double click on this shape. I'm going to click on the outside first and I want to edit the points. Well, remember it was almost 60. So I'm just grabbing all of the pieces on this side and I'm going to shift nudge. Instead of 1 millimeter, that moves 10. So right now our project's at 30, 40, 50, and 60. And then I'm going to move it 1 more millimeter just so I've got a little extra space. And there is our box wider. Now the user wanted 15 slots instead of 10. So check this out. We're just going to grab this entire set and I'm going to move them up as well. So it's currently 20. If I do shift nudge, that's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And of course, since they want 15, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to add one more just to make sure there's an extra amount of space. When I hit finish sketch, we have just resized the project. Let's double click on the walls and double click again and do the same thing. Of course, when I select this way, shift nudge to move it all the way up. And then I'm going to grab this side and shift nudge to move it all the way over. And I added that extra one click there. Finish. And let's switch to the other one. Once again, double click. Let's grab all of these, zoom out so I can see better, and shift nudge up to that edge. And then of course grab this side and shift nudge to move it over. With that extra click I chose to add. If we hit finish sketch, just like that, we have built the box bottom for our larger project. The next step is to add the dividers. I'm going to just pull this shape in close, and then I'm going to sink it below 0 just so we can see this better. So now it's less than that shape. And if we nudge this back, we can get it right to this edge so we can better guess how much gap there is between each of these. I'm doing 0.1 to move it back, and you can see right there is where it disappears. Now these are going to connect between these walls. So I'm going to click on this and do Control D so I've got a copy of it, and I'm going to simply edit that sketch. Now I don't really want what was in there, so I'm going to delete it, and instead I'm going to zoom in and we're going to just draw these two pieces. I'm going to click as close as I can to the middle, and then we are going to use the shift trick to make sure that stays straight. Right there it's about 8.9, but I'm going to go all the way to 11, and then I'm going to hit escape to stop it. Now I want this same part on this side, so we are going to click on it and do Control C to copy and Control Shift V to paste. And then we're going to move it to the other side. If you look closely, this is that edge where it needs to line up. We're going to hit finish sketch. Those are in a perfect spot. I'm now going to move this out of the way. Now, if we were making a single row, we would be done. We would just duplicate this all the way down. But the user that reached out also wants 2 rows in the same box. So that means we need to open this one again. And then I'm going to grab both of those parts. I'm going to do the Control C and the Control Shift V to paste them in the same spot. And then I'm going to Shift nudge until there's a little gap in between them. I'm going to choose to go right to the edge. And then I'm going to make sure my nudge is set at 1 millimeter. And I'm going to nudge it 1 millimeter over. With those in place, we can simply hit Finish Sketch. We can now extend our box so it fits the whole way. I'm going to start by double clicking on this piece. When we double click on the parts, once again, we can edit those points. We're just going to grab this entire side and we need to move it past this. I'm going to set my nudge at 1 and we're just going to shift nudge until it goes past. If we zoom in really close, you can see that edge is going to be fantastic. So we can hit Finish Sketch and it's finished. Double click on the bottom, double click to edit. Grab those same parts. If we do the shift nudge, bang, it snaps to the exact spot and we can finish. And finally, double click, grab those lines and shift nudge to move to the other side. Finally, finish sketch. We can fill these down to the end by simply doing Control D. Shift nudge moves it 10. One more nudge adds 11. Then do Control D again and again until you've got 15 at the end. Notice I went past. We're going to actually use that as a benefit. The gap for this last one is not correct, but check it out. If I double click on this inside edge and double click to edit, I can now click on that line and I'm just going to move it out to where that other part is. Of course, we need to grab those edges. I've got my nudge set at 1 millimeter, and we need it to get it on the other side of those parts, just like that. Finish sketch, and simply double click and repeat the steps. Double click to edit, select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, finish sketch, double click to edit the part, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and finish sketch. And we're set. We do need a divider between these two. We're going to do that by backing up to the very first one, and we're simply going to hit P for pen. I am going to set this to 0.5 so it's easier to find the middle. And once you do find the middle, click to start it, move towards the other end, and then don't forget that awesome shift click so that you can make sure it is straight. I'm going to zoom in and get right to the edge and click and then hit escape to finish. We do want to change the stroke width. Let's set it back to 1 because that was the gap we put in between them, and then finally hit finish sketch. And that is a custom box for coins. Of course, you still need to make your lid, but that was simply shift select these two parts and do Control D and move them to the other side. I'm going to nudge it a little bit out of the way so I have more room. The user needed theirs to be 50 high, so instead of 15, I'm going to make this 35. And then 15 plus 35 will give the 50. The final step is to get the fit right. Now remember, we had 3 different testings. This is where we made it 20.06. This is where we subtracted 0.05. I did not say that correctly in the prior video, but let me show you how that works. We're going to do Control D, shift nudge to move it over. I'm going to set it to be a hole. And then we need to set this height to 10. The reason we're doing that is because we've got 10 lip here. If you adjusted different, you would just change it to be different. I'm now going to shift select these two, choose L for a line, and we want it to come to the top, center, and center. Now here's the superpower. Click the hole, notice we're double checking I've got it, and choose Edit Sketch. Of course, click on our shape, and I'm simply going to go to the stroke tool, and the first thing I'm going to do is most important, I'm going to set it to center. I'll zoom in so you can see this. This puts 0.5 millimeter on each side, so that's how much would be trimmed away. Well, we want to try even less than that, so we're going to do 0.1, and that would mean 0.05 gets trimmed away on each side. Now with my box, I had to make a choice on how tight I wanted it, and the 0.05 was a tiny bit loose, so then I just took away a chunk of this. So instead of 0.12, I did 0.06. And then on this side, I took away 0.06 as well, so this would be 0.07 and press enter. Now when I hit finish sketch, I can grab those two parts and do Control G to union group, and we have just trimmed our lid so it's gonna fit absolutely perfect. I do want to highlight again, make sure you do these small boxes so you're making the adjustments you need for your 3D printer. It's a lot more fun to iron out those numbers on small prints than it is on a large print like this. So a quick wrap up. Of course, I did not print this because I don't actually need this part. I do want to thank JP for the question. Editing STLs is always kind of an interesting question because quite often you can actually make something that'll be more useful later if you just take a little bit of time and learn a little bit about Tinkercad. Of course, I do want to quickly say thank you to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 different levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Also, make sure you pay attention to the members only post. A massive shout out as well to everybody that supports me via Patreon. We passed 350 members today. It has a fantastic messaging area where you can ask questions, post designs, gain skills. Of course, you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget every time you like, hype, share a video, add a comment down below, or click subscribe. You're helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day, and keep tinkering.